All right, y'all. Special video today. I'm super excited to install the Endless 100 UFS frame. This thing is sweet. It's stout. It's got bridges. It's got flanges and flares, and there's material removed in key places and retained in others, and it's got a little tilt. And yeah, I'm gonna move quickly because I'm about to go skate them. So yeah, that's the intro. But yeah, I'm pulling bearings off of these Endless UFS 80s because yeah, I don't have any fresh bearings at the moment, but these are really good shape. So yeah, I'm gonna pull the bearings out of these wheels, put them into these 100 millimeter Endless wheels that I have sitting in front of me that are neon yellow, and then I am gonna go install these and skate them. Let's see, I got the uh, endless wheels from my friend Steven. Um, it's just he's a nice guy, and I'm excited to skate those. And then I got these UFS 80s from Brandon. I'm about to go skate with him actually. So it's kind of cool. The Denver scene is big enough where there's like a pretty decent market uh, aftermarket for like wizard type frames. So that's pretty sweet. I'm happy to live here and grow that scene. And if anyone ever wants to come to Denver and skate, feel free to holler at me, and we'll link up. But yeah, so let's see here. These are the hydrogen 80 millimeter wheels. I don't even remember where I got these. I feel like I got these for some totally different project, but uh, they are excellent, as are the hydrogen 100s, which is something I might use next on these endless frames. Um, but I also really like the Wizard 100 wheels, so I might get a set of those for these endless frames. We'll have to see. I like how they slide, and yeah, it's a hard urethane, but there's a lot of it because the core is small. So yeah, the Wizard wheels are very interesting to me. I haven't tried their PR wheels, but that's something if I get a frame that supports that, that's what I'll do. All right, so far I got the wheels off of the endless uh, 80s, and time to pull these bearings out um, to minimize the amount of dirt that gets kind of inside. I'm going to wipe them all off first. The bearings have dust on the outside that collects because of the oil. Uh, so yeah, get that out. And then, I was talking to somebody recently. I thought this was pretty interesting. They said that they would, based on their materials and sort of application engineering knowledge, they were saying that an old or cleaned bearing performs so much worse than a new bearing that it almost doesn't even matter what grade of bearing you get, just use new ones. And I don't know. I think that's an interesting topic. Like, I don't know enough about bearings themselves. I just have my personal experience that when I clean the bearings and re-lube them, they develop clay, clicking back and forth. And I think that's a few different reasons, but definitely a lot of dirt gets in these things and gets trapped in there, and then it grinds away at the surfaces of the bearing, and they get loose. But the thing is, I don't know how bad that is. Like, skating skates with like loose bearings is not that bad that I really notice it um, compared to fresh bearings. But I do notice when I'm using fresh bearings, it feels really nice. But maybe I'm just used to loose bearings. Um, anyway, I've also heard that prying bearings out of the wheels like I do is probably not good for them either. But you know, that's fine, kind of. All right, usually I keep track of the order of the wheels. I'm just gonna stack them. I don't really know if I'll need to remember that, but all this hardware aside. All right, hardware. Oh, we're not even at the hardware step. We're putting these bearings in these wheels now. So yeah, endless wheels. Let's see. Oh no, what was I gonna say? Prying bearings out. Yeah, some people I think insist on using bearing presses, but I've never had one, and this tool seems to me to be better than any skate tool because it's a 4, 5, 6 millimeter Allen wrench, one of each, and it's from a bike company called Park Tool. It's the AWS1. Um, Honestly, yeah, having the 6 millimeter Allen allows me to pry bearings out very easily, and it hasn't really messed up the wrench very much. There's a little bit of scuffing on the 6 millimeter, but I've pried out hundreds of bearings with this 456 Allen wrench. Yeah, they call it the three-way tool because there's three sizes. All right, so it also has rubber, a little rubber thing in the middle here, which I use to press bearings in. So yeah, I'm gonna put these all in. I'm gonna seat them where you squeeze the wheels together, and then get them installed. Yeah, I wanted to plug this wrench because it's a bearing press, it's a bearing remover, and it's the main wrench that you need for axles and stuff like that. So yeah, probably a skate version of this because this is a bike wrench would have the 3/16 size as well as one of them, maybe instead of the 5 millimeter. But I think those are about the same anyway, so somebody can check the math. Is 3/16 of an inch similar to 5 millimeters? All right. This goes pretty smoothly if you don't shake the wheels too much. But if you do, the little donut washer or UFO washer thingy will get crooked. You have to fix that. There we go. All right. So, yeah, probably the main thing you're wanting to actually hear about is this new frame sitting over here, though. And yeah, I'm excited to chat about it. I've been pressuring Brad at Endless to make this for a while. And yeah, like as you can see, I have the UFS 80 mil. Um, I have the arc frame that I helped test and kind of advocate for this longer version, the ES. And yeah, and I knew it was time for a 4x100 option for people who prefer the Seba boot. Basically, that's what in my opinion, that's what this frame is for. You could probably use a 909 with this 100 if you know have your liners all done up and everything. I'm not sure how this frame works on a plastic boot like that, but I'm sure you could. Probably the UFR would be fun. I bet it would look cool with this arch thing here. So just in case you're wondering, I'm taking 3 wheels at a time and using the outer wheels to set the bearings of the inner wheel, the middle wheel. So you just shuffle them to put each wheel in the middle and squeeze them. These have all felt really well seated. I got one extra, so I gotta squeeze that one. Um, but sometimes you'll hear like a crack, crack, crack. Yeah, I felt them seat. It helps them go into the frame easier, and that's just generally a better thing. So, next step before I put on these new frames is I gotta pop off um, my arc frames from my boots. So this is pretty quick though. And let's see. While I'm doing this, I still got to talk about these UFS 100s. So yeah, been pestering Brad. He's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, I'll make it, but like, It might not be my best seller. I don't know. We'll see. And I don't know, like 80 and 90, I get that they're more universal, but honestly, geez Louise, UFS 100, that's like, for me, that's like almost perfect geometry. The wheelbase, the height feels pretty ideal. Um, and so I wanted to see what his version would be like because he has there's a very pragmatic, engineering based kind of principle to the thing, but there is also an elegance to the frame shape and everything, right? It's not just angular. It's got its little swoops and stuff like that. Um, and so yeah, it came out looking like a very um, a very endless frame, which is great. I feel like this frame departs a little bit with this this is similar to the raised heel frames, but there's a stockiness to this frame that most of the endless frames are pretty big wheel. So this 100 kind of merges those two styles. I'm surprised, there's no flare here. The arc frame does not have that. It's angled like trapezoid. But I thought it was interesting on the 80, he has the flare here, probably because this is such a short mounting area, and the flare would add too much length to the back of it. Um, but yeah, it's got a lot of the attributes of endless frames that you know and love, but it also has some really cool new features, or it has a really cool new feature and a lot of the best features of the previous frames. So some of the best features, I would say, the the arc frame, and then the all the frames after it basically have a flared um, mounting area that kind of buttresses the frame mounting, and I think triangulates or disperses the load of the frame across a wider area. I always thought like frames could be triangular, kind of like on a non-grinding boot. Um, but anyway, this is a bit of triangulation. If you don't know what I mean, you can look at one of the new frames long ways down the length of it and see uh, the way that it flares out at the top. But the new feature is the flare out right here. I assume Brad will talk about that technology or principle and why it makes sense at some point. But yeah, just more triangulation, different directions, I think. All right, I got the boots with their frames removed. Time to mount the new frames up. And Brad sent me these pink washers. I never really have used washers on any frames, so this is kind of interesting to use them. But all right, so I'm gonna put the right side frame on. These are the same frame, right? They're symmetrical, so we're just gonna go for it. Um, and when I am mounting up a frame that I've never put on before, I don't know what position it goes in. I typically will just keep the frame bolts a little loose until I get the front and rear wheels on. Then once I have the front and rear wheels on, I can better see how balanced the frame is front to back, and I prefer it to be as even as possible. So just looking at the axles makes that kind of tough. So yeah, and actually right away, I feel like I have, when I slide it back, I obviously have more hanging over the heel. When I slide it forward, this axle doesn't. This axle is sitting pretty close to just the tip of my toe, and this is sitting behind my heel. So we'll see if they're biased rearward. Um, in terms of side to side, there's not a lot of play with UFS frames, but I usually mount them inner uh, for reasons unknown, I guess. All right, so putting in the front and rear wheels, it just glides in. That's super nice. One of yep, that glides in great. And we're putting in the front as well. these nice axles. These feel very smooth. I like them. Um, and they glide in like nobody's business. That's great. Okay, so I already know. I think I'm gonna bias them as far forward as possible because that'll be, the closest I can get to symmetrical. So I'm just gonna clamp them down here. Got these washers. Man, all right. I'm a washer guy now, I guess. That's all right though. I think that probably means I don't have to tighten them as much. But yeah, we're going pretty snug there. And then these wheels, just double check them. Get the rest of these mounted up. So sick that the wheels have a pink accent, the axles have a pink accent, and it's set against a bluish, midnight bluish frame here. And the wheels also have a bit of blue on them. So I have this blue and pink kind of theme. And then, hot damn, I got the yellow wheels. I have a yellowish strap on the top there. And that's my first look at the Endless UFS 100. Wow. Yeah, that thing is a weapon for speed and style. All right. I think I'll spare you the second frame. I'll just install that on my own. Um, Mostly wanted to get y'all to see what the hell this thing looks like. Pretty sweet. Bring it even closer. Have a look. How sick is that? We got this little gap here. It's like the height is so slim here in the middle. I really like that. We're tucked right up in here, but not touching, of course. Yeah, let's go skate.